You're watching Daybreak, and thank you for staying with us. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. With me in the studio on my far right is the lawmaker representing Keses constituency in the county of Uasin Gishu, CPA Julius Ruto. Good morning.
Good morning, Abdi.
Thanks for your time. He is as well a member of the Finance and National Planning Committee of the National Assembly. John Badi at the centre is nominated lawmaker and the chair of the Public Accounts Committee. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Your time is appreciated. And Senator Richard Onyonka on my immediate right represents the county of Kisii at the Senate. Good morning, gentlemen. Your time is all appreciated. Let's begin with a look at what's happening and the planned for protests across the country today, largely driven by the Gen Zs, and the papers have equally headlines in effect to that. And the Daily Nation says Ruto's options. The head of state and his team of advisors are caught up in a delicate balancing act to find the best way out of a stalemate that has triggered countrywide protest. And the options are not only intended to assure the public and address the anger brought about by some of the tax proposals, but also ensure the smooth running of government. The Standard says tax rebellion, Ruto's wiggle room shrinks. Interior CS says now the youth action cannot go beyond 6:30 p.m. and if they attempt to access protected areas, the government will take action. However, the Gen Zs are not relenting, saying the finance bill being debated today must be dropped. First, let's take a look at this issue in context, and I begin with you, Senator Richard Onyonka. Given what has been happening over the past few weeks, is the substantial shift in the public mood one of anger and anguish because of the conduct of you, the political members of the establishment, given your track record in terms of policies that ought to be underpinning some of the problems that they have often complained about? And they are justified, is it, given the conduct of the policy players in this country?
First of all, thank you. Good morning. To be honest with you, today is one of my happiest days in my political life. Why? Because I sat right here, July last year, and I said, when these young men were outside KICC, you remember when there was when the cryptocurrency people came and they were doing some fake stuff of registering people's irises, and you remember that time? And you had over 7,000 people around KICC in line because some of them thought these guys were actually going to employ people. And I said, if you look at what is happening to our youth, if you look at the scenario that we are dealing with, and you look at the way some of them are thinking and some of them are reasoning, the truth is these young people have reached a dead end. These young people are not saying what hasn't been said before. These young people are no longer talking about silly stuff, things you expect them to be talking about, useless things. They are talking about issues. They are talking about our debt. They are talking about why is capitation money not going to schools? Why? Why are we not having medicines in hospital? Why are we managing our economy as if we are cowboy economists? Where basically you go out there, you plan things through corruption tendering, you then pick the loot. Then you go and buy yourself helicopters, you go and buy yourself the most expensive suits, you pick beautiful watches. This is Oraimo, it is 3,500, but it looks expensive. Why? The damn thing just tells me time. It's supposed to tell you what time you are going to work. Why would somebody wear shoes for 800,000 shillings? Why are we wearing belts? Designer belts. The point that many Kenyans, and indeed Ayub, yes, it is we, the ruling class, who have actually let these children down. Why? Because even when we are discussing critical issues like, let us sort out why we are corrupt. Let us figure out how we are running our government. Ayub, how many times have I sat here and said, the problem with our country is not the hardware, it is the software. Which country taxes its people into prosperity? None. What you do when you're smart, you increase the tax base. That is the simple economics 101 I went to school for. Because at some point, you're going to tax and tax and tax. After you've taxed, you will not even be able now to run the economy. Why? Because people will not have disposable income. You know, and any fool will tell you there are certain things you do and others you don't. So anybody who is assuming that these young people who are in the streets today are doing it because they're either, I've heard all these comments, oh, sometimes I wonder what the presidential spokesperson, Mwaura, our friend, what happened to Mwaura? He's saying that these kids are being now sponsored by Russia. You know, what's wrong with us? I mean, what is it that we always try to simplify things because we think, oh, everybody's stupid. Kenya has got some of the most clever, most intelligent, most well-educated people, and they'll tell you everything if you want them to tell you. They know our economy is in a mess. They know that we are mismanaging ourselves. They know that we are busy planning and coordinating Ayub, let me ask you, why is it that every 2.5 years you have a fight within the presidency? The deputy is fighting with the president every 5 years. Look at the elections. It is because people are fighting over the loot. This is not about policy. Vice President Gachagua is not fighting William Ruto because they have disagreed on the medical policy, or they have disagreed on what to do with our youths in terms of what is their employment targeting and what is the employment strategies, what companies are we intending to come are we intending to look for so that they can come and set up factories here so that our kids can get jobs.
Okay. Honorable Ruto, coming to you. Your committee had heard from the Kenyan people, and on the last day of the public participation exercise, the chairperson, Kuria Kimani, said, what we concluded is not going to be just a mere cosmetic exercise, and we will take into account the submissions that you have made before us. On Tuesday last week, the committee chairperson read some of the proposals that you made, amendments to the bill, including the dropping of some of the contentious clauses. But though the theatre was wrong, because a committee report is a parliamentary report, it's a property of Parliament, so the bill passed the second stage as a whole in its original format. But what has led to the key dropping of the contentious proposals by the committee where you sit in?
Thank you so much. First of all, beginning from the statement made by my senior and senator, I'm happy that I think he's having almost a 60th term in office. He's among the senior members of Parliament. I don't know whether the tone that he's using now was the tone used then at that time. Then it tells you what young Kenyans are speaking of us in leadership is true, that we've had us saying the same things and doing nothing about it. And Ayub, I want also to stand and say I support the young Kenyans rising up to the occasion, that we don't give a moment to all we've been thinking they can do better than us by just sitting down and allowing them to decide for us. It is time to speak. That tells us the Kenyan governance story is changing, and we want to appreciate. You really put up on issues of the proposed finance bill that was tabled in the House, and it was committed to the Committee of Finance and National Planning. And you were witness of the rigorous public participation that we underwent, where we had all kinds of citizens came in from the stakeholders, even religious. One Archbishop Olesapit came in person and also presented his views. And as a committee, we promised ourselves that we are going to take into serious evaluation of what Kenyans are saying, because these laws are for Kenyans. It is not for specific persons, but it's for Kenyans. It is meant to create an environment that is going to see us grow together, both economically, politically, and much so the importance of the inclusivity, as said by the Constitution. What it was tabled in the floor of the House by the chairman confirms what we've done, because most of the proposals that were made by executive in the quest of looking for resources or establishing some policies to cushion, to protect, or to promote the growth of our economy. Some of them was, from the Kenyan point of view, was so contentious, was so outrageous. And as a committee, we were very responsible enough not to take that exercise in futility, but we were able to listen, address the issues to do with the car tax, We deleted, not even amended, issues to do with proposed standardizing the VAT on bread, from listening to Kenyans that being a basic commodity that they consume to sustain their lives. We also deleted the others that we amended, including imposition of excise tax on edible oil or imported food, imported products like the one that are used for sanitary purposes. What the committee agreed with the intention of the executive is that, appreciating the situation our economy is, we are a trading economy country, that we need to shift. We cannot address the challenges our young men are going through, because can you imagine, Ayub, if you evaluate every given academic year, we are graduating not less than 200,000 Kenyans from universities alone, of the 60,000 universities we are having, at an average of around 4,000 or so, including the colleges. We are transiting more than 200,000 Kenyans from training, and we are not assuring them of employment. And that is why it calls for us collectively to think, because Kenya is a going concern. Kenya is not in receivership. It's a going concern that we need to think about tomorrow. And how to think about tomorrow is to embrace the policies that is going to address the issues. And for them to voice out, it means then we have to agree together on this point.
Okay.
Which measures are we going to take? So what committee has done is in line with what members of public gave, and we've tried as much as possible to onboard their comments, because they never only lamented, but they gave us their recommendation. And we've onboarded their recommendation on the report that now will be discussed today in the floor of the House, as we are going to look at clause by clause, and the chairman will be moving the amendments on the bill that was proposed to the floor of the House.
And because you gave reasons as well as to why you had agreed to drop some of the contentious proposals, including VAT on bread. But let's come to the motor vehicle tax, because the chairperson said it was intended to raise about 58 billion Kenya shillings. So what then happens if this is dropped to the budget hole as a result?
Thank you. You are aware also that the appropriation bill is still delayed until and when the finance bill is approved. It's going to inform now the adjustments that will come across alongside that one, so that we're able to have, as per the law, Article 221, a balanced budget where you're able to indicate the revenues, the indicative revenue estimates that is going in line with the indicative expenditure. For the car tax, I dare say, I don't know the proponents of that, what are they thought about it? Because we looked at the Income Tax Act, Section 3, and it defines what is income tax, being a tax on an income that was derived in 12 months of a resident person in the Republic of Kenya, and it's an income, not an asset. So trying to look at the motor vehicle and to reclassify it as an income, it was difficult. As a committee ab initio, we had to drop it technically. But then now, we have also to relook at how to adjust the other side. We have also made recommendation to the Committee on Budget and Appropriation. After this particular approval, the Budget and Appropriation Committee, we need now to retreat to themselves and be able to relook at the expenses.
And did you seek some classification from or specification from the Treasurer as to why they included the motor vehicle circulation tax?
If you remember well, we invited the PS the last day before we retreated to do the report and asked them, can you justify how you brought about this? Of course, even for them, after discussing and giving them the knowledge on engaging the stakeholders, of course, we had to share knowledge together, and they had no option. They agreed on our position that we are going to delete on this one.
Okay. Honorable John Buddy, on Thursday, you as well took to task the chairperson of the committee on some of the other additions to the report that was tabled before the House, including the road maintenance levy, which you have cited in that report. But given what's happening at the moment, and the coalition political party, Azimio, where you belong, saying or calling on its members, no amendments, we have to reject this in totality, then what's the way forward?
Ayub, thank you, and thank you to our listeners and viewers across the country for taking time to engage with us. Let me be specific on this finance bill and the reasons why I think I agree entirely with the stand of our coalition in terms of the way forward on how to deal with it. If you look at this bill has been dismembered, even by the committee. I have never seen, since I became a member of parliament about 17 years ago, a finance bill that has been dismembered, butchered like this finance bill by the committee of the House. I was yesterday, before the coalition made the decision that we are not supposed to propose amendments, appeared before Honorable Ruto's committee, the Finance and Planning Committee, in the National Assembly. And looking at, in fact, I got hold of one of the bills that, the bill that one of the members was using. And you could even see the kind of, the cancellations, the excess. It is like the whole bill from clause 2 to the last one, 60-something, has been dismembered. Why? Because this is not a bill that was done by professional, by technical people. I want to respond to Honorable Ruto. Maybe your people at the Treasury cannot tell you this. They were not involved in this finance bill. This finance bill seems to have been drafted by these so-called economic advisors at the Treasury, at State House. If not, then there were outsiders who drafted this bill. Because no one seems to be understanding the bill. He has just told you that this motor vehicle tax, no one can explain it. You call the PS in charge of Treasury. He would not explain it. I have shared with my professional colleagues at the Treasury. They don't understand it. No one would ever imagine a taxation, an income tax called motor vehicle tax, motor vehicle circulation. What are you talking about? Are you taxing an asset? Are you taxing wealth? Or are you taxing income? So this bill, in my view, I wish the government would just own up. And even the mood of the country is not to discuss the bill clause by clause, as my colleague is saying. We are living in a unique environment, a unique situation where Kenyans have largely decided there is a referendum without voting, that this bill is bad, reject. So in fact, if you ask me my approach, and I would want to appeal to the president, he's the head of state, he's the symbol of national unity. He has a duty to hold this country together. There is nothing wrong with just coming out and saying, we withdraw the Finance Bill 2024. We are going to start afresh. It doesn't have to take months. We can do it in weeks, so long as people feel appreciated. Ayub, I don't know how many minutes I have left to make these opening remarks. There's something that I wanted to say.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
You see, if you look at history, you will find that oppressive regimes give rise to revolution. Because there will always be a generation which will be angry with oppression. What we are seeing today started from even before last year, but was more reinforced, was given more energy last year when we showed arrogance with the 2023 finance bill. And as if that is not enough, we wanted to repeat the same arrogance in 2024. Remember, in 2023, even against all our complaints and worries, the young people talked about the overtaxing their digital content creation. Look, these are people we should create jobs for. And we have not created jobs for them. They are struggling to create their own jobs. Then you come for that money. Again, look at the arrogance where we told them that not even a comma or a full stop will be removed. Look at the arrogance of the leader of majority in the National Assembly, who is a very good friend of mine, a young man I thought would really go places. Coming to tell the young people that they don't know what they are doing. And these people have iPhones, they take Uber, they come and eat chips, they don't understand finance bill. Some of these people, and many of them, are even taking courses in finance. They are reading even modern books. Some of us have finance knowledge, but we went to school so many years ago and we have not even read. Them they are reading today. They understand tax policies and the effect they have on economies. And you are telling them that they are ignorant, they don't know what they are doing, they should get out of the streets, and with that kind of arrogance. And we have talked about the opulence. Look at the kind of lifestyle we are showing. If you look at history, and I think I will talk about it later, you will find that one of the reasons why people come up against taxation is not because that taxation is bad. It is when they believe that their taxes are being misused. When you show them that they are funding the lifestyle of the people in power, the lavish lifestyle. When you show them that you can take jets and roam across the globe, and you tell them to tighten their belts. When you go to churches on Saturdays and Sundays carrying millions of shillings, you are a member of parliament and in a month you spend 15 million. They ask you, where do you get this money? How did you become so business business savvy within a very short time.
The three of you have agreed, and the common denominator in your opening remarks is the wholesale failure of the country's political elite. And we will further expound on that. But Honorable John Bad is still on you then. If the coalition political party says that that there are no amendments that will come from the members of the coalition, then isn't it unfair that you are throwing the baby with the bathwater, given your submissions? And do you then mean that everything in the Finance Bill 2024 is bad?
You see, Ayub, not everything may be bad. There are provisions that may be good. But you know, you can only mend a trouser that is mendable. You cannot put, for lack of better word, cracker. Yeah? Is that the right word?
Patchwork.
You patch your trouser to an extent. The time reaches that you have to throw that trouser and get a new one. You struggle to get a new one. So what I'm saying about the finance bill, and I wish I carried a copy of that finance bill where the committee has proposed amendments. Committee, before even you go to any individual member. It is like every clause of that bill, there is proposed amendment on it. And this is a finance bill. And then you still want to insist that that's a bill that is worth talking about, that is worth discussing, debating. Let us throw this bill away and get those good provisions in the bill back to the new bill if we want to have another bill, because there is no compulsion. We are not compelled really to amend tax rates. We can continue with the same tax rates as we had them last year. And we just tighten the system of collecting revenue. There's a lot of pilferage. There's a lot of leakage of revenue in this country. We don't have to always vary tax rates to collect more. In fact, experience has shown, and from even last year, and my friend here, I hope he knows, that our revenue collection slowed in the last financial year.
Okay. And the consumption there, because of the fuel consumption, and we'll talk about that as well. Senator Onyonka, then, is it fair from what we had witnessed? Because this young generation that is protesting, what they want is proper leadership. They want visionary leadership. They are concerned, and there is this angst because of the conduct of the politicians. Is it fair then, in the midst of this crisis, the opposition to stay off and not even propose any amendments to the bill that will come before Parliament today for the Committee of Whole House?
Why should we give amendments or proposals? I wanted to say that my brother was saying that the tone I was discussing, he is lucky today my tone is very soft. How many times have we been here literally nearly getting angry? I mean, what the point that I think, and I have carefully listened to my chairman Badi speak and my brother talk, what is it that is the problem with us today in our country? What is making these young men and women go to the streets? They are not there to play golf or to play tennis. They are just children who are confused. I saw one of the leaders, presidential advisors, say that these are kids who are just, their fathers are the ones who are stealing. And therefore, in fact, now these are kids who don't know what they're doing. Boss, these kids know. In fact, for me, Ayub, this finance bill is nothing. This is just, let me call it whatever it is. It is not the reason why these kids are in the streets. The kids are in the streets because they know they have hit a dead end, because they know that even they finish university, they will not get anything. They know even getting a passport to fly out of the country at immigration is a problem. They know that they cannot even live in a place where their parents are living, because now you are introducing taxes which are going to be asking for the families to pay for more taxes. They know, I mean, the system is broken. And you need the president to be magnanimous enough to look for people who are more clever than him to fix it for him, if he's unable to fix. What are these kids making noise about? How many, I mean, go to Nairobi city streets and look at what is happening. That the best we can offer our kids is content creation for kids to stand in the streets and take pictures and put them on TikTok, and that's how they are going to survive. Is that the best we can do? No. Look at what we are doing with the education sector. Look at what we are doing with the health sector. Cascade everything from the national government and go to the county governments. We don't have a functional system. The issue of taxation is just an excuse that even me I would have used. What I am saying and what many people are saying, let us look at this country much more seriously than we are looking at it.
Okay.
We are looking at this country as if it's just some banana story. You know, it's like a country, oh, which country is that? Mali, there was a coup there. Forget about you, let's go and watch football. No. Our country is hemorrhaging. People are stealing money beyond comprehension. I sit in the budget committee, my brother, at the Senate. Look at what we are dealing with there. Look at the audit reports.
Okay, we'll talk more about the audit reports because they point to not so healthy outcome in terms of the reports by the Auditor General and the Control of Budget, and that will be the center point of our attention when we get back from the break. Honorable Ruto, Honorable John Badi and Senator Richard Onyonka here on the broadcast, and beyond the point of the taxation and the protest by the Gen Zs about generally the lacking good governance in the country and the continued deepening of corruption, incompetence and patronage within Kenya's political establishment, and that is the cause of why they are on the streets. And we'll continue with more about that after the break here on the broadcast. Stay tuned.